That's what the NFL did with the catch. You still possess it, even if the ball moves a little within your grasp. And it was the right move. But I do think there's a legitimate 3 reasons, maybe 4, to legitimately keep the tush push. Number 1, it is a football play. I watch football games, and that's a play during the games. It's not rugby. It is a play during a football game. It's a football play. Second, if it was just about the offensive line, the Lions would do it. The Lions have a great offensive line. So do the Broncos. You ever see Bo Nix 2 weeks ago try his version of the tush push? It was a disaster. And by the way, Jared Goff can't do it. It's only about Jalen Hurts. His all-pro center left, they're better at it this year. They do it more this year. It's about Jalen Hurts, his number 1 asset. He's the strongest quarterback probably in league history pound for pound. We don't tell Lamar Jackson to run less. We don't tell Mahomes not to throw sidearm or left-handed. Why take away the number 1 asset for one of the star quarterbacks in the league? So there are reasons to keep it. But I think this is what's happening, and this is the problem. They're using it too much. The defensive shift, had Joe Madden used it once a series against a dead pull hitter, you could have it. He started using it all the time. The NBA doesn't mind the three-point shot, but when the Knicks and the Celtics meet and shoot 97 in a playoff game, it's bad television. And Adam Silver says, we may have to change it. Remember, the IRS changes tax laws and tax codes all the time when they think something's being manipulated or used to hurt other people. And I think that's the problem. This year, think about this. Jalen Hurts has attempted the tush push more than balls thrown down the field 10-plus yards. And 60% of league revenues come from television. They're overusing it. I contend if you had 1 kickoff a game, they wouldn't have changed the rules. But when you have 8 or 9 concussions, numbers go up.
Yeah, they never seem to change those tax codes for the really rich people. But anyway, here's the thing. This is a great take from Colin. It's actually pretty funny because I was getting ready because at the beginning of the clip, I didn't play it because he's just talking about all the things that they got rid of, like Hack Shack and stuff like that. And I was getting ready to bring up one of his older clips because he was defending Patrick Mahomes for, pretty much working the refs with the whole roughing the passer calls and baiting them. And he's like, this is what great players do. They exploit the rules and all of that. And was like, wait a second. Why are you going to defend that? But now you're not going to defend this. And now here he is. He is defending this. And it is very unique to Jalen Hurts that you're now trying to take away. And it is a football play and all of that. And I've already talked about the whole false starts and stuff like that. That is such an absurd argument that if there's been times in the past that there was false starts that then weren't called to now use that as an indicator that this is what they do every single time, it's just such a disingenuous argument, and it's a structure of an argument that is used to stereotype people. And essentially every single awful thing that has happened in this human world has that type of argument has been used to help facilitate that. So it's just like it's such a misleading smoke and mirrors argument to pretend like that's why they do it, and you start to rally about people and say this is what they do every time. It's cheating. They're not actually doing it correctly, and this is why it's unstoppable. And it's like, okay, we've already hashed that out and not gonna kind of keep doing it. And so now we're back to the conversation of like, should it stick? Should it still be around? I believe it's gonna get banned. I believe it is. But I keep pushing back on this whole nonsense that it's boring TV or that people don't like it, because it's just not true. The Philadelphia Eagles are consistently one of the most watched teams in the NFL. Consistently. They just set the record for Super Bowl views last season. And now on Sunday, when they played the Kansas City Chiefs, it was the most watched Sunday broadcast ever. So like we have to stop pretending like this is bad TV, because it's just not. Okay? It's just simply not. We got to stop with it. We got to stop with it. Give fans more credit that they can watch exciting games that are beyond just people throwing the ball 55 yards down the field, play after play after play. I want to see those things too. I want to see the action. I absolutely do. But it's also an intense play. Kansas City Chiefs got to stop this play. And do they not? Did they force a fumble? Oh, they only got like a half a yard this time. Can they stop it again? Like, it's a tough, gritty, physical play. It's a power play. And there is a lot of excitement there. Everyone with this moral panic right now, I'm just going to say it, it's really pathetic. It really is. It's really pathetic. It's weak. It just is. Crying on the broadcast and whatnot. I mean, like, it just is. It really is. But to Colin's credit, to Colin's point, we see things like the roughing of the passer. We see missed face mask calls and stuff. I remember it happened to back-to-back games to Sam Darnold one time in his own end zone, and it was like, you know, like it had major repercussions on the game. I think the one game was against the Rams, and I think the other game, I forget who they played the following week, but it was like, are you serious right now? Like, this is crushing right now. It actually took away potentially game-tying drive for the Vikings last season, and we saw in the playoffs with Patrick Mahomes not going, you know, getting too awful, roughing the passer calls in a close game that they would have punted the ball. The score was 14-13. They would have had to punt the ball. Instead, they got a 15-yard penalty, first down, which then directly led to a touchdown. I mean, that's crushing. That is absolutely positively crushing in a game. And, you know, I want to see those things officiated better. I agree with Troy, man, getting all upset in that moment. When we see Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills clearly get a first down, but then it's not called a first down. Like, you want to see that those plays happen less and less and less. You want to feel like your team gets a fair shake at all of this. And since people are so concerned about the tush push and the volume of it, if Patrick Mahomes once a game or twice a game, it's obviously a different play in terms of roughing the passer. But if he was able to bait the defensive players into a roughing the passer penalty once a game, twice a game, there would be so much more frustration and panic and anger about it, right? Like, it would just be, it would be talked about very regularly, win or lose, honestly. Probably more though if they're winning, because if they're 0-3 and you're doing it, people then just point and laugh and make fun of them. But the thing is here is that the Eagles do it with obviously a lot of regularity, and they keep winning, and people are just like, what the heck? I saw that clip. I wish I could play it, but I keep things PG-13 on here, where Chris Jones is legitimately just having just an absolute meltdown on the sidelines. Look it up. It's pretty funny where you think they keep running the same play 6 times. I mean, like, he's so angry about it. And that's football, man. Are you kidding me? And you hear Saquon Barkley screaming. Everyone knows that we're running this play and they can't stop it. Like, that is football. That is sports. You can't stop me. And me trying to desperately stop you, and I can't. Every athlete has had that feeling before. Every athlete's had that feeling where you're just like, I want to win this game so badly, and I'm going to do everything I can to get after it. I mean, I still remember this one moment specifically in basketball. I was just like, because basketball is obviously a lot more one-on-one, and I'm just like, I'm going to do everything I can to carry this team to victory, because in the playoffs game before I did that, I was able to put the team on my back, and I was able to lead us to victory, and it was awesome, and it was great. Super high moment in my playing career. And then the following game I was like, let's do it. And I couldn't. Not because I wasn't good enough, because they were just better. And the one player who I remember also very vividly was like, it was just not enough for me to stop him. I could not consistently stop him, and I could not consistently just put up points in a way that now we have the lead and we win. And it was just like, no matter how hard I try, no matter how fast I run, no matter how physical I get, it just was not going to be good enough to beat this team. and it's just like they're on both sides of it. You heard the one gosh, I forgot his name, from the New York Giants, the offensive lineman who's long retired. Um, he was on First Things First like in the summer, and he talked about how the O line, like how much pride they get and how much it gets them going when they just feel the life drain out of the D line, when they just realize like, yep, you can't like you just can't get through to us. Like you are weakening right now. You are being run into the ground right now, and there's nothing you can do. And he's like, man, we love that. We take pride in that. Like that is such the core part of football, is like you can't stop us. We talk about that. Oh, this is so backbreaking. Like in football, you talk about those moments so much. Oh gosh, they had Jalen Hurts dead to rights, and how he was able to now rip off a 19 run, or Lamar Jackson doing that, or Patrick Mahomes slithering through and then throwing open to, it was third and long, and then somehow he finds a way to get the ball to Travis Kelce, who's wide open, who then runs it for another 10 yards. And it was like, oh my God, it was going to be fourth and long and a punt, and now it's first and 10 at the goal. Like that is so backbreaking. That is so devastating for the defense. They don't talk about that really in baseball. They don't talk about that in soccer. They don't talk about it like that in basketball. It's a lot more unique to football that these types of moments can happen, especially when it has to do with like true speed, velocity, physicality, power, intelligence, a gorgeous play, a awesome play call, play design. Basketball, it's like, yeah, Steph Curry pulls up for a deep three, but it was like, it's just a shot, unless it happens at near the end of the game where it was like, oh my God, you just won the game now. Like you don't have that moment in the second quarter, right? Like it doesn't really add up, but it does in football, and this play does that. This play does that. Now listen, it's like, yeah, this is not something that you do want to see all day, every day, but not every game is like this. Not every game are they running a tush push like this with that level of frequency. It's just not. It's just not how it's done. And you want to talk about TV and good TV? You know what's bad TV? You want to know what's bad TV? The Cleveland Browns, the Miami Dolphins, the Carolina Panthers, okay, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Um, Before Daniel Jones started balling, the Indianapolis Colts, the New York Giants, okay, the Commanders pre Jaden Daniels. Like that's bad TV, okay? That's bad TV. Having the Philadelphia Eagles do a play that everyone is genuinely excited to watch and see and hear, especially casual fans, which, NFL fan bases always make fun of casuals when casuals are what make up the bulk of the views, right? Like that's how it works. Like you need the masses, like you're always trying to reach the masses. Why do you think they double triple down into Taylor Swift? Because they're like, come on, everyone, football's for everyone. And you really think the person who just is kind of casually watching game, like, oh, the Chiefs and the Eagles are playing, that'll be fun, that's a rematch, right? So the Eagles won, lasted the Super Bowl. Oh, right, right. Jalen, right? Jalen Hurts, that's his name, right? Jalen Hurts. Yeah, no. That was a great game. Oh, and they have a rematch? Oh, that'll be fun. Yeah, I'll watch that. And they're like, the tush push. This is not what I was expecting. This is ridiculous. I'll turn this off right now. I'm not watching this. Absolutely not. I gotta watch the Broncos versus the Colts. That's the game that I want to see right now. Like, come on. Like what are we inventing right now? I mean, seriously, it's just nonsense. You only think going for it on 4th and 1 is not intense. Whether it's a tush push or not, whether you believe a play is unstoppable or not, of course not. Are you kidding me? At the end of that game, when they needed to get a first down to ice the game, and they lined up in the tush push position, that was an incredibly stressful, intense part of that game. Incredibly, because there was a real chance that the Eagles could get stopped in that moment. And then when you're now thinking, oh my God, was there a fumble? You're thinking, oh my God, did the Kansas City Chiefs just pull this off? Did they just force a fumble now on the unstoppable play for the Philadelphia Eagles? oh my gosh, that will be the talk of the town. The Chiefs stopped it. They forced a fumble. Then they marched down the field and won the game. Like, oh my, like box office, box office. But then the Philadelphia Eagles were able to muscle their way and say, nope, not today. These are all exciting moments. These are all exciting moments. And so it's just, when we talk about something is hard to officiate, and that's why I used all the examples of all the hold calls, the missed face mask, and all this other stuff. And it's just like, that is such a greater threat to enjoyment than the tush push. You don't watch the tush push and think this is unfair. You do watch a game and see a terrible roughing the passer call, or a clear, blatant hold that wasn't called, or a hold that wasn't really much there, that now you just had a huge 30-yard pass play that now then gets called back, and you're just like, are you serious? So that makes you feel like things are not fair. That makes you feel, why do I watch these games? This is so frustrating. The Houston Texans fans, after that Kansas City Chiefs game in the playoffs, they genuinely felt like they were not given a fair chance. They were just like, this is ridiculous. This is not fair. You are taking the game out of our hands. When the Philadelphia Eagles crushed the Washington Commanders and crushed the Kansas City Chiefs, that those fan bases can't say, man, it wasn't fair. That's why we lost. When the Eagles beat the Rams in a close game, you can't say, man, it wasn't fair. We didn't get a fair shake at it. We lost because of the tush push. Can't say that. You just can't. When they beat the Packers and held them to 10 points, it wasn't just like, that was a tush. That's not how you come away in those games. It's just not. So we have to stop pretending like that's the case. And now we are doing in real time on TV and media and social media. We keep trying to pretend that a handful of moments, a handful of controversial moments are now how these things happen all the time, or are indicators of how a play like this happened, is executed all the time. Whether it be that the moment when the Commanders kept jumping off sides and jumping over them and all that type of stuff, when the game was obviously already clearly out of reach, or a moment like this with the Kansas City Chiefs. We're now pretending that this is just such a mess. Oh my God, what do we do here? And it's just like, it's just the definition of disingenuous. Because if this is the way how this was all unfolding, do you think they would, this is like for years? Do you think do you think it would have lasted this long if this is how it started going down, in 22 and 23 and 24? Of course not. Of course not. Because 99.9% of the time, this play is just run smoothly with no issues. No song and dance, no confusion about where the ball is. Did he get, come on. And again, how many times do we see sneaks at the goal line and people can't figure out, did he get over? Did he not? Or even just a running back when they hand the ball off and you're just like, I don't know if he crossed the line. It's tough to see. We can't really see. That happens every single week of football. Every single week of football, we got that goal line view and we're like, I don't know. Was that a touchdown? Did he get, I don't know. And then again, think about the panic that they're having with Kansas City Chiefs, where the TV ref is just like, I'm so sick of this. And it's just like in the playoff game, Josh Allen gets the first down and they barely linger on it for a second in a crucial moment of that football game in the AFC Championship game. In the AFC Championship game, what's more important in that moment than getting that call correctly? So we have our priorities twisted and mixed up. And I said this last summer, like I agree. If every single team is running the tush push 5-6 times a game, I don't want to see that. I absolutely positively do not want to see that. If the Eagles, with a very high degree of regularity, are running this play 5, 6, 7 times a game, every single game, and it's just up, and it's just like, yeah, I don't want to see that either. But I do know that sustaining offensive drives are really fun. And even if you think that you have an unstoppable play, going for it in your own territory and having the intensity and the anxiety of like, oh my gosh, are you going to get it? Are you not? That's really fun. That's really exciting. But let's take this a step further now. Field goal kicking is getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's going with a more degree of regularity. We've just can see the trends over the last 20 years you are going to be able to consistently kick 65-yard field goals. Right now, it's really exciting, and it's like, oh my God, it's going to be commonplace. A 65-yard is going to be the new 50-yard. I don't know if it's not going to necessarily officially happen this year, but eventually within the next few years it will. Teams are going to be kicking a lot of deep field goals now. Is that what people want to see now, that you just need to get it, they already start the ball off at the 35-yard line. Now they just need like a couple first downs, a couple completions, and now you're in field goal territory, and now it's like, all right, we'll just kick a field goal here. Like, that's fun. When there was this new movement in football that everyone started to go for it on fourth down, be a lot more aggressive, that radically transformed football, which was facilitated by the Philadelphia Eagles. By the way, they were the big front runners. They were the big innovators of that with the analytics, but that radically transferred. I mean, once upon a time, it was like, if it was just 4th and 1, it was like, punt, field goal. Like, there was like no question about it. It was like, yeah, go for it now. Every time it's 4th and 1, I don't know. Yeah, they're in their own territory, but like at the 45, but like, yeah, I like this. You hear them on the broadcast. I like this decision, I think you just hand the ball off to Derrick Henry right up the middle, and you get that yard and keep this drive go, whatever it is. And it's just like, that transformed football, and it's awesome, and it's the better for it. I do know one thing. Watching a lot of field goal kicking is not very exciting. That's not exciting. And so what is the NFL going to do when, with a high degree of regularity and a 65-yard is no longer exciting to watch? You're just like, yeah, there was like 15 kickers last weekend kicked a 60-plus yard, and it wasn't to tie the game or win the game. It was just in the second quarter to go up 6-3 now, because everyone's just kicking field goals. And then that will radically now change the analytics. Well, the analytics show that if you have a kicker who can make a 60-yarder, you should kick here instead of go for it on 4th and 1 because of blah, 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 blah. And then it's just like, all right, it's just like, is that fun? And then what do? You're no longer allowed to kick field goals 65 or, from 65 yards out. Oh, now we got to move the kickoff back now, because now we got to push it back to the 20, because now it's too easy for people just to get a couple first downs and kick a field goal. Like, you understand what I'm saying here? Like, it's just, things get messy, and I'm all for rules changing. I'm all for the evolution of the game. I was just watching the game the other day with my father, and I said, it's just crazy the way how football has changed so much. They took away a lot of these big devastating hits. And credit to the NFL. I don't feel as though that football lacks because of it anymore. I don't feel like I'm being robbed of the NFL. When it was first happening, everybody was freaking out. This isn't football. This isn't football. This is sarcastic ball. And it's just like, I don't feel like I'm watching a weaker, lesser product. And actually, when I go back and if I watch a game from the 90s or the 80s or whatever, I'm like uncomfortable with some of the hits, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if that guy's ever going to walk again. Like, oh my God, did his head just go literally 360 degrees around? I'm like, that's tough I don't need to see that right now. And so I'm all for changing the rules and evolving. I really am. But it has to be done skillfully, and it can't be done in a way now that clearly hurts another team, like the the Philadelphia Eagles, in such a way when we talk about a hack or the shift in baseball that was ruining the game for all the teams, and it had a true effect on every single team. And you now are taking away base runners and offensive power and exciting moments in a baseball game. And in basketball, you're slowing down the game, and we're now watching Shaquille O'Neal shoot free throws, or it obviously went beyond just Shaq and when other players, and you're just like, well, this is this? This is now a singular team, the Eagles, that they do a play that it benefits them, and now you're going to try to ban that. It's asymmetrical. It's not equivalent to what some of these other examples are here. Like I said, if it was a play that the Eagles have been able to figure out, and now every other team is able to figure out, that's now a little bit closer to the shift now. But it's also not robbing people from exciting plays because you and otherwise drives would end now. You would get less offensive drives. You're actually getting more offensive production. That's why the Major League Baseball, when those torpedo bats hit the scene and they were like, whoa, people are getting more hits, more home runs, more action. They weren't like, get rid of this. They were like, no, no, like this is good. This is good for the game. This is good for the game. So I don't know. This conversation is definitely never ending, but I am confident that the Tushby push will be gone by next season. That is for sure. So now if you want to say that they're doing it too much, they're going to do it as much as they can. They're going to do it now as much as they can. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tush push it being on life support? Is the play really an unfair advantage for Philly? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be a part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.